Hey everybody, it's Todd with Todd and Becky Photography, and today I want to do a video about editing. Yesterday I did a video where I took some shots and I went through in Lightroom and reviewed the shots, getting rid of the ones that I didn't like and keeping the ones that I did like and marking them. So now I'm going to go back into one of the shots I took yesterday of a Carolina chickadee in the backyard, and I'm going to show you how I would edit that photo to improve it. Thanks. Okay everybody, we're back in Lightroom again, and I'm back in the library with the tiled view that we have here. And just a quick refresher, when I hit the backslash at the top under the library filter, I'm going to select the one star here on the right over here where my cursor is, and then it filters it down to the one star. I'm going to double click on this first one and then use my arrow to just scroll through them to get to my chickadee photo that I want to edit today. And there he is. Okay, once I have that, we're going to go into the develop mode. Up on the right hand side over here, you can see when I click develop, it takes me to the development screen. Very nice. Now when I look at this photo, I like certain things about it. It looks pretty sharp. You can see the feathers on the belly of the bird here. I like the little bit of light coming in on this lower side under here. That really helps make it more interesting. I like the curve of the branch here. That's very interesting. So it's a nice natural behavior shot with soft background light. And the exposure on it's not too bad. It's ISO 4500. So we can work with that. But there are some issues with it. The first being the subject is too small in the frame. The bird's kind of lost in the branches here. So your eye doesn't immediately land on the bird. You're kind of drawn to the branch next to the bird. So we're going to crop it first to fix that. Then we'll work on the tone of the bird. He's a little bit flat tonally, and there's also a lot of busyness in the photo, a lot of busy branches. One of the things I like to do is if you hold the control button down and use your scroll on your mouse, you can kind of scroll in and kind of preview what you want to do cropping wise. So I like to do that and get an idea of what I really want to hone in on. Then I'll go up here on the right hand side over here and see where it says crop overlay. Click that. You have these little corner edges things here. Right now the ratio is locked in. Well, if I'm going to crop it, I might as well crop it to a print size or a print format. I could do a long tirade about how the sensors on cameras and actual paper out there don't line up. So I'm going to go 4x5, 8x10. And as you can see, it changes the proportion of the cropping there, so I could print it out on an 8x10. And you can see how it will go portrait, landscape. We're going to keep it landscape, and I'm going to come in and put the bird in the middle like that and try that one first. Hit the enter key after you've done that. You'll notice moving it around, I have a little hand icon that allows me to sort of move them around, and I'll hit enter. And there we go. Now the one thing about it is it's a little soft on his face, so we're going to try to fix that. But now that I've cropped in, I've removed some excess space there. The bird is now the center of my attention. And one of the things that jumps out at me when I do this, when you come in, you can see all the little dots here. And this is the noise. And this is why I use Lightroom, because it has the best denoise function of anything I've used. If I click denoise, it'll go through and apply the denoising to it. Takes a little bit of time. It is a large photo because I'm shooting a D850, so the files are rather large. And this is a raw image, of course. You can see the NEF up there, which is what Nikon uses for their raw images. And there we go. And it cleans it up and the little dots kind of go away. So I like it. So now I want to do some basic global adjustments. I don't want to overcook it. We're going to do a slight exposure lift. We're going to turn down the highlights and the shadows up a bit, do a touch of contrast. Okay, normally I would just click under the mask, show me the subject, and it will go in and detect subject. Now it detected the bird here fairly well. You can see it highlighted it in red, but it also detected this little area down here which we don't want. So we're going to deselect with the brush. And we're going to brush out the things we don't want this thing adjusting for us. Now I can change the size of the brush over here, so it doesn't take me quite as long to do this. Alright. We only want to adjust the bird. So there we go. So now I've deselected those areas. When you go into the mask mode, it gives you these settings over here which will only apply to the mask. And I want to turn the whites up just a little bit. Now you can see it starts changing it. You can go extreme, 100%. You can go way down, but we're just trying to make it a little better. So we're going to go up to, say, 20. I'm going to turn down the blacks a little bit. Just a little bit. Also, minus 20. There we go. So we're just trying to clarify and clean up that subject just a little bit. You want your eye to land here naturally without really thinking about why. So texture and clarity are the other things I like to change. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit here till I get to texture. We're going to turn up the texture just a little bit, bringing the feathers out a little more, and we're also going to bring up the clarity a little bit. There we go. So I want to work on the background now. Now that I've worked on adjusting the bird slightly, we're going to go in, and you can try a lot of different ways of doing this, but I think probably the easiest way to do it is I'm going to add a mask selecting the background. And as you can see, it really is having a hard time. It's struggling to recognize the bird as not being part of the background. So now I'm going to have to subtract out using the brush again and subtract the bird out so that we don't start adjusting the bird when we're adjusting the background. Leave this poor bird alone. I've already worked on him. So hopefully he will be spared the changes that I'm about to make. Alright, so what we want to do now in this mask of the background, we want to lower the highlights just a little bit. We're going to reduce the clarity and the texture a little bit. Kind of blur it out a little more. Instead of making the bird brighter, I'm just making everything else quieter. Calming it down a little bit so that the bird is your main focus. Now there's one area left of the bird that I don't like, and that's around his eye, his nose area there where it's so soft. So we're going to have to use a mask and zoom in on that. I'm going to add another mask, and this time I'm just going to use a brush. And we're going to brush in this area here that I want to try to fix up. Okay, so in that area we're going to go in and we're going to brighten it up a little bit. First I'm going to try the exposure, and I don't like what that does to it. So I'm just adjusting, moving it around to try to find a more natural. I think right there it's now a little more, it looks a little more like the rest of it at minus 66. So now I'm going to turn up the texture just a little bit, see what that does. Alright, that's actually way up, but I think it looks a little better, and make the clarity go up some. There we go. Now we're starting to fix that area where it just didn't quite look right. I think that looks pretty good. Now that I'm done with that, let's take a look here in my basics. And it looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to come back up and change it back to the edit mode, and all my changes are in there, and I think I like the bird a lot better now. I've cleaned up around his face, the image is better, and that's a photo that I could post. I'm not sure I would print it. The color's a little boring, but I think I'm done editing. So that's how I go in and I change these things. So the last thing I do, I'm still in a raw image, and this is pretty important. The last thing I'll do is I'll come in and export the image. So I'll export it. I'm going to choose my area. So it'll take me here. I have this little area that I put for birds. And we're going to look for chickadees. And we're going to select that folder. I'm going to not rename it. I'm just going to leave the name the same as it is. But you can see it change it to JPEG. And the image format is JPEG. The quality is 100%. I don't want to lose quality. One other thing to note, and this can get you because it's got me before, up here where it says export to, I have it on hard drive. One time, I don't know how it got changed, but it got changed to CD, DVD, and I didn't notice. And it started making the photos very pixelated, ruining the images, and I couldn't figure out why. So I went to my buddy ChatGPT to try to figure out what's going on, and ChatGPT helped me out by finding that setting. I sent a screenshot to it and it said, well, right here's your problem. So make sure that's set to hard drive or it really will mess up the quality of your images. And then I hit export. Now, another thing to note, you can create variations of this image by coming back into the development area, and you can do things like crank up the vibrance. Yeah, that looks horrible, I get it. You can turn up the vibrance just a little bit if you want to make it a little more colorful. And then you could do export with previous, and it goes, well, this file already exists, and you can say use unique name, and it's then going to create a variation of that file by adding like a 1 or a 2 at the end of it so that you have both photos saved in there. You can also make it a black and white by turning the vibrance all the way down and turning the saturation all the way down, or adjusting the saturation until you get this black and white image. It's a black and white bird, so why not? I'll do another export with previous, use unique name. Now I have 3 versions of that picture. And those are some of the basic edits I would do here in Lightroom, and why I like Lightroom. It really lets you quickly come in and edit the photo and then move on to the next photo. So if you like this video, if it's helped you out at all, please like and subscribe. That helps me out. And I really appreciate you watching the video today. Thank you.